Aaron Saul here, founder of Engage Coaching Group. Just want to share a tip with you today around mental health, mental wellness, and it's tied to negative news. And as I go through this tip, you may see my eyes shift downward. I'm just reading notes. I've had to magnify some notes here because I don't have my glasses on. So you may just see my eyes look down as I'm reading some things. But today's tip is really reflecting on the fact that so they say that negative news sells. But in that selling of negative news, it actually affects anxiety, stress, and can lead to depression. So it's good to be aware of how much news you're consuming and how much negativity you're consuming in that news. And so the first step in this assessment to help you with kind of getting clear on how much negativity you may be bringing into your life is the first step is to write down what you actually want to experience in your life. So what excites you, what makes you happy, what brings you lots of joy, right? And write all that out. Spend 10, 15 minutes writing it out. I always encourage my clients to use journaling as a way to not only embrace what they want to have in their life, but also to help with the experiences along the way, which we'll get to in a second. But the first step is to write down all those things that you want to have in your life and it bring you so much joy and happiness, all right? So spend time doing that. And then the next step is to spend the next week and starting to review the types of media that you're consuming. So these could be TV shows, it could be social media, news broadcasts, radio broadcasts, books that you're reading, and just make notes. And again, use journaling if it's helpful for you to remember, because you want to look back on this after a week. And so start to write down the types that you're reviewing, and also the level of negativity. So if it's very low on the negativity side, you can put a 1. If it's kind of in the middle, you could put a 5. And if it's quite negative, you could put a 10. Right? And so you're getting an idea of how much negative news you're bringing in. And you may have to bring a little bit more of awareness, especially if you've been watching certain news broadcasts or what have you for a long period of time. You may need to take a step back and say, and kind of check in with yourself and recognize that this is quite negative what they're showing me, when it may not initially look negative because you've just been kind of used to seeing this type of broadcasts and news stories on a regular basis. Okay, so that's step 2. So you're going to start to just monitor and review things recorded over a week. And then after that week, in step 3, you're going to reflect on things. So you're going to go back to your notes and you're going to look at, okay, so how much negativity, what's on those high scales have I been consuming throughout the week, and start to look at patterns and themes there. And then step 4 is to look at that list again and also look at the amount of time that you spent. So it's good that when you're in step 2 and you're going through and looking at and just recording things, you can also record the amount of time that you've maybe been watching a TV show, and maybe it's a back-to-back binge watch. So were you on for 4 to 6 hours watching a show or what have you, and just write that down, right? So how much time is you're watching news, are you looking at the news broadcast, listening to radio shows, whatever that may be for you. And so then you can also look for patterns in the amount of time that you're looking on social media or other types of media, because that can be also a reflection of an impact on your mental health, because it's, you're spending time doing that versus other things that you like to enjoy, right? And then step 5 is a reality check and looking at, okay, what needs to change. So you've looked at this, you've taken a record of the last week of the types of media you've been consuming, you've reflected on it and got a sense as to the scale of negativity that you may be bringing into your life, and then look at, okay, so what needs to change? If you are looking at quite negative sources of news, how can you start to pull back on that and start to look at more positive stories, more positive types of resources to be reading and looking at to bring more positivity in your life, right? And also looking at back on step 1, those things that you want to bring into your life that motivate you, that inspire you, that make you happy. How much of these news broadcasts are actually allowing you to do that, right? How are they bringing you towards that experience that you want? And if they're not, maybe it's time to cut those back, right? And then you can look at the time in step 5 as well, is as far as changing the amount of time that you're maybe binge watching shows on a streaming network, or how much time you're on social media, and how can you start to reduce that time? And the next step that you make, maybe a baby step. It may be like, okay, I'm gonna for the next week, I'm gonna just reduce my time on social media by 30 minutes, right? Or maybe 15. You want to make baby steps. You want to make goals that you can effectively be successful at achieving, and then you can start to work from that over time. All right. So I hope you found this helpful, just to be able to look for ways to bring more positivity, more happiness, more joy into your life. And if you're looking for more resources, you can go to our blog, engagecoachinggroup.com/blog, and you'll find more resources there as well. Thanks so much for your time.